All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our Circuit of the Americas post-race coverage. Tyler Reddick wins at COTA. I can't believe it. Three-peating to start the season. He's burning it down right now. So winning at Daytona, winning at Atlanta, I think those are two flukish lottery tracks. 3 in a row. Super impressive. So with Daytona, obviously, anybody can win that race. It takes skill to stay up there up front and be in the shot to win. But at the end of the day, it's a lottery. Atlanta's the exact same way. So winning those 2 in a row, crazy that it happened. The odds have to be insane. But then to back it up here, and you know, this is the best track they could have gone to. Reddick already has a win here. He knows how to run well here. And he did. And he beat the best there is at it. SVG finishing in second. Blaney, who was the most competitive car to him all day, falling further back, almost outside the top 10 to 8th. Let's go ahead and recap our race. Get things underway. So our Duramax Grand Prix from Austin, Texas at Circuit of the Americas. Tyler Reddick was on pole, but Chase Briscoe grabbed an early lead. SVG and Kyle Busch were both the early biggest movers throughout the race. Zillage did not get a good start. Connor Zillage, we're going to be talking about him a lot throughout this recap. He was slowly moving forward. I was keeping an eye on that. He wasn't lighting the track on fire with his lap times early on. He was just making steady progress. And this was a long race. It really was. So that was to be expected, him to slowly move up through the field. Then on lap 9, Ryan Blaney took the lead. SVG had already moved up to 6th, and Zillage was up to 19th at that point. Now, Reddick, at this point, he had been sliding back. You know, he lost the lead from Briscoe, and then continued to fall back. I think he fell down as low as 9th, and then slowly worked his way back up to around 6th or 7th. I can't remember exactly where. But one thing we'll talk about a little bit is Goodyear and the tire they brought. They brought a perfect tire. Tons of fall off. NASCAR puts them in a really difficult box to work with. These tires are so fat. It's hard to get tires that fall off enough that don't explode and have failure. So Goodyear has nailed it. I think they did a great job last year for the most part. So just hats off to Goodyear. After, you know, a few years of having issues with Goodyear tires, the notable 2008 Brickyard 400. Yeah, Goodyear, their name kind of got dragged through the mud, but they're making up for it here, I believe. Now, late during that run, probably around lap 15, Bell's car just falls off a cliff. He was running top 5. He just starts sliding down through the running order. Briscoe also fell back, maybe outside the top 10. We'll take a look at the stage results here in a second. And then on lap 19, Ryan Blaney short pits to flip the stage. He pits from the lead. Ross Chastain takes the lead, stays out, and wins stage 1. So let's look at our stage 1 results. So Ross Chastain taking stage 1. Shane Van Gisbergen in second. Third, Michael McDowell. Fourth, Chris Buescher. Fifth, AJ Allmendinger. Sixth, Ty Gibbs. Seventh, Alex Bowman, earning 4 stage points, passing Chase Elliott right at the tail end of that stage. And this is huge for him. Chase Elliott 8th, 9th, Carson Hocevar 10th, Denny Hamlin, and just missing out on stage points, Bubba Wallace. 15th for Jesse Love in stage 1. Very impressive. Kyle Busch was still running mid-pack at this point. The Fords, other than Blaney, just were not running well. Stenhouse, that's about the best he ran all day. He was running further back in the 30s for the low 30s, way down here for most of the race. And Zillage 30th. So not ending that stage too hot, but I think that's because he flipped the stage to get some track position into stage 2. So let's get back to our breakdown. Under the stage break pit stops, Ross Chastain lost several positions on pit road. So he's going to lose a ton of track position. And this ends up killing his race. The handling went away further back in the pack. And a car that was challenging for the lead and ended up taking stage 1 ends up just falling off a cliff. I mean, he had to fight to recover from this throughout the race, but the handling just went away. Night and day, that's what happens. Sometimes you lose positions on pit road, and everything just falls apart. Now, on the restart, Reddick takes the lead, and Connor Zilic from 8th place gets spun in turn 1. So super disappointing. Had worked his way up from 30th in stage 1. He started the race somewhere back there, way below 20th place, and worked his way up through the field. Restarted in 8th. He had pace. He had pace to run up there with our leaders. It was very impressive. And just like yesterday, Connor Zilic, moving up through the field, gets taken out by somebody. So very hard weekend for Zilic so far. And then Chase Elliott, he restarted next to last, and he was really off the pace for a while. That was wild to see because Chase Elliott was running around the top 5 before the stage break and before people started to flip the pit stops. So that was really concerning to see, especially with how dominant Chase Elliott was for years. Really hasn't been as dominant since they went to the Gen 7 car, but he should still easily be in the top 10. Bell's car again falls off a cliff once they get about 15 laps into the run. Just starts sinking through the running order. We saw it time and time again throughout this race. And then Ty Gibbs takes stage 2. Let's get our stage 2 results. The first, we have Ty Gibbs. Second, AJ Allmendinger. Third, Daniel Suarez. Fourth, Todd Gilliland. Fifth, while flipping the stage, still getting, 6 stage points? 6 stage points. Very impressive from Tyler Reddick. Bubba Wallace, 6th. 7th, Ryan Blaney. 8th, Cole Custer. 9th, William Byron. And 10th, Shane Van Gisbergen. Important stage point there. And for Reddick and Bubba Wallace, they're just earning so many points to start this year. I wouldn't be shocked if they're 1 and 2. Bowman is getting taken out on a kart. So he may have, I don't know, heat exhaustion. I don't know what happened, but they were taking Alex Bowman, saw him on TV, taking him out on a gurney. Not great. Yeah, let's look at our top 10 during stage 2. Now, Reddick, again, leads them off into stage 3. Zilic was moving up very quickly through this portion of the race. Bowman was off the pace. So Bowman was running, I saw him as high as 14th. He may have been a bit higher than that, but he had slowly worked his way up through the field. And he got stage points in stage 1. But then I saw him way down there, dead last, second to last. It was wild to see him fall off the pace, and I thought maybe there was an issue, which there was. There was the uncontrolled tire. I forgot to mention that. Yeah, there was an uncontrolled tire, maybe in stage 2, that sent Bowman to the back, but I expected him to recover. A lot of guys that had issues would, had faster cars, they would work their way back up through the field, slowly and surely, and he just didn't. And eventually, he drops out of the race. We'll get to that in a bit. We saw that on the leaderboard. I saw he was in the garage, and then a couple laps later, they said on TV Myatt Snyder was relieving him, and that was less about earning points. He really didn't gain much, if anything, from Myatt Snyder hopping in the car. I think this was more about getting seat time for Myatt Snyder and getting track time for that 48 car. Then on lap 75, Ross Chastain off track loses a right rear, and that brings out a caution, the only caution for incident during the whole race. Now, the strategy got really mixed up here. You had guys that stayed out, guys like Reddick, SVG, and then you, like Byron. Then you had guys that came down and took fresh tires, Larson, Elliott, potentially Bell. The Fox graphics said he took 0 tires, but I'm not sure I believe that, because his car fell off really hard on old tires. I think we would have noticed. And on that restart, Reddick led them off, SVG to 2nd place. And on that restart, Zilic restarting up here around the top 5, has the fastest car, it looks like, other than Reddick. And at times faster than Reddick. He gets turned again. So what happened? I don't think I have a replay of this, but Denny Hamlin tries to, dive to the inside, ends up getting into the back of William Byron. And it sends William Byron up the track into several other cars. Zane Smith took a lot of damage here. And Connor Zilic, spun out. So he loses all of the track position. He's regained like twice now. Absolutely insane. Just a hard day for Zilic. Yesterday did not go well for him. And just a repeat today. So I was really disappointed to see that. I was really frustrated with Denny at first, but then, it's kind of just a racing deal. We had seen that exact incident earlier in the race. It's just a shame that Connor Zilic was taken out twice the same exact way. Somebody getting turned in, going into turn one, up the track and taking him out. Just disappointing. Chris Buescher went around later in the race. Kyle Busch got into the back of Jesse Love. Apparently there was some bad blood there. Busch was really unhappy over the radio, but sent Love into Chris Buescher. That, sent Chris Buescher around. He lost probably about 10 positions during this. And Blaney, the guy who was challenging for the win throughout the whole race, up until the, late in stage 3, falls off the pace. And he really fell off the pace. And then on the very last lap, Carson Hocevar, the Indentinator, he ends up not bringing out our last caution. He is our last, incident. He does spin, hits the inside wall in the front stretch, I believe, but he gets it back going. We stay green, and Tyler Reddick three-peats, goes back to back to back to take the win here at Circuit of the Americas. So just insane stuff. Let me open up the Google Voice line. If you guys want to call in here in a second, you will have that option. Or if you want to text in, if you want to text that number on screen, I'll read your message. Oh, look at that. So Stacy, one of our community members, always here watching with her fiance Christian. She says, this is Stacy. Tyler Reddick getting a three-peat is wild. I know that's the headline. I should have put that on our banner down at the bottom. I thought about it, but I already had this one ready to go. Just absolutely insane. I totally agree, Stacy. Totally agree. Denny Hamlin fan happy about a top 10. Warren asked if Reddick would win again, and he did. Breaking news, a hurricane hits Texas. That's what Kimeko said about Hocevar. Allmendinger takes 10th from Hamlin, takes 9th. Yeah, impressive there for Allmendinger. Not the win that he wants. Can Reddick go for 4? Possibly. I think he has some good runs at Phoenix. Allmendinger collapsed? I mean, this is the first hot race of the year. And we heard that Larson had a heat suit failure. And Bowman was apparently already sick. Maybe that was heat exhaustion. Maybe he was already sick and the heat added to it. So that's wild to hear about. 2311 is on fire. They are, man, law. Totally on fire. First 3 races after the court case. That's right. What? It's not going to happen. I wouldn't say it's impossible, but I don't think it's going to happen. But Bubba Wallace goes out let's say, if we want to get really crazy, Riley Herbst comes out and wins next week. Just somehow. That would be insanity. Daytona and Atlanta came on luck, by the way. I agree to an extent. It takes skill. It takes a lot of skill to win at Daytona and Atlanta, to be up there towards the front, be in position, make the right moves. But that was pure luck. For everything to go his way. If Reddick doesn't overreact to the contact on the last lap and force Byron off the track, Byron gets a shove from Keselowski, and either Byron or Brad takes the win there. They had a huge head of steam, but when Byron got sent off the track, he ends up breaking up the pack behind him. It was a very flukish win. Let's be, completely transparent about that. And then Atlanta, he wins with a cracked right front. I mean, the right front's missing on his car, and he somehow still won because the field just got split up on that last lap. No one was able to make a move. So yeah, two flukish wins to start the season, but follows it up with a butt whooping here at Circuit of the Americas. Jason said, everyone have a great, safe evening and week. See everyone next Sunday. Hey, good to see you, man. Always good to see you. Maybe one day I'll get up there to Indiana and we'll hang out. We'll go see the museum. I haven't been yet. Allmendinger collapsed in 22 at Brickyard also. Yeah, it seems like if you're a person that struggles with heat sensitivity, heat exhaustion, heat stroke, you're bound to do it again at some point. I've never been a heat casualty, but golly, have I been close. Warren says, hope Allmendinger feels better. Him and Bowman. And I bet Larson doesn't feel too great either. Good finish, though. This is the third time he's collapsed. That's really not good. Kind of like Gregson getting sick in his helmet over and over a few years back. It used to be a weekly thing for him. That's probably the worst place to vomit, is in a helmet. But anyway. Not gonna lie, that 45 car was sus. I mean, he's already won here before. You know, it's totally possible that... I mean, maybe they just figured something out. But he was the only 2311 guy that was like really up there. Wallace wasn't running too bad. Herbst got track position off of not pitting. The team that looked the most impressive today, by far, was Trackhouse. Trackhouse was extremely impressive. At one point, had all three cars in the top 10. Chastain loses a wheel, not able to continue, or not able to, you know, have a shot at the win. And then Zilich getting taken out twice. Started poorly, worked his way up to 8th, got taken out, worked his way up towards the top 5, gets taken out again. Just a really disappointing day for Zilich, just like yesterday. Max said, rigged, LOL, just joking, pretty cool. Jeffrey says, NASCAR's a joke, whereas the stock cars, they became another corporate money whore. Lost its real fan base, wanted to bring in the puppies, now it's just a clown show. I get where you're coming from, but stock cars would not work in today's country unless we wanted to do balance of power. Do we want to turn this into IMSA? Do we want multi-class racing in NASCARs? That's kind of what you're asking for. Because a Camaro, it doesn't exist anymore. They couldn't run it. And the Mustang, the Dark Horse, that would stripe the Camry every day. You know, Chevy doesn't make a sedan anymore. They do not have a car that would fit the next gen mold. I mean, you could try to run a Corvette, but it wouldn't look like a Corvette at all. You know, I wish we still did that, because that's kind of how they used to do it. You know, the teams would have wildly different designs for their bodies. It would be really cool to see that, but it's just not going to happen, because back then most everybody was running a you know, big block V8. A lot of automakers are not making V8s anymore. Dodge may be going back to using a Hemi, but as of now, the biggest engine they offer is a V6, so they couldn't come back into the sport if they wanted to. The only reason they're in the truck series is because they, you know, use a crate motor in there. They're not building their own motors. Ford needs to bring back the Fusion. That's right. I completely agree. LE Productions said Zilich will make the chase. He ran really well today. Just insane how well he ran. I want to see how he runs at Phoenix. SVG had a great start to the year, has had a great start to the year. I want to see how he runs at Phoenix. Phoenix is the first honest track we're going to go to this year. Road courses are dominated by the road course guys. You're just going to see that. Now, there are more drivers that you can consider road course proficient or efficient with this Gen 7 package, which it was a decent race, but I'm not happy with this package. I didn't see enough cars sliding around. They're not supposed to be easy. I think these Gen 7 cars are basically disguised GT cars. You know, that's kind of how they drive nowadays. I'm not a huge fan of that, but this wasn't a bad race. I think Goodyear brought a perfect tire, which may have saved it. But, and you know, it's impressive to see a guy dominate a race, but I will admit, it's not entertaining to watch one guy lead 90% of the race. It's not. From a pure performance standpoint, very impressive. From an entertainment standpoint, not impressive. But yeah, I totally agree. Ford definitely needs to bring back the Fusion. I thought about getting one for a while, but a few people that I knew that had them constantly had issues. And maybe they worked that out later in the run. Maybe it was just with the version that had the hybrid components, possibly. But I really liked the look of the Fusion because they were running it in NASCAR, and it looked like a sedan version of the Mustang. Really cool. It was really cool. Now, I like the Mustang better in NASCAR, don't get me wrong. But I would totally own a Fusion. I like buying American. I have a Camaro. My daily, though, is a Toyota. Like a really old one. But, I mean, Toyota's American-made, or American manufactured. So, not owned by Americans, but, you know, they employ a lot of people in the United States. That's for sure. Dad owns a Fusion with 280,000 miles in the odometer, still going strong. Gen 6 Fusion body was amazing. I'm sure I have one somewhere. I don't have a lot of cars that aren't Chevys. Mostly 24s. I have a lot of Dale Sr., Dale Jr. But I know I have a Blaney, but that may be a Mustang. Yeah. Yeah, it's good, though. Question, can Reddit get the 4 in a row achievement at Phoenix? There's a chance, but Phoenix is going to be an honest race. It's, you know, it's an oval, it's a flat track, and so that doesn't just come down to setup. It doesn't just come down to the driver. It's a mixture of both. Then you have to stay clean. It's an oval. Anything can happen. You can get caught up in someone else's mess. If you have an issue on pit road, if you have to serve a penalty, you know, anything goes wrong at a track like Phoenix, you could lose 3 to 4 laps like that, just super quick. King Meko said his dad had the 2.0 liter gas only version. Yeah, I was looking at one years ago because it was a practical car. Still looks nice, had some nice features if you had it optioned out, but yeah, they just stopped making it. And Chevy doesn't make the Malibu anymore. They don't make the SS. They don't make an Impala. All the sedans are gone. And the coupe, the Camaro, also gone for now, at least. Just super disappointing from American car manufacturers not putting out sedans. And that's because of the market. Most people want trucks and SUVs right now. I'd be okay with a truck, but I do not want an SUV. It's just, I would not enjoy driving one. I'm a sedan guy. And at the minimum, a coupe. But what a fun race that was. Let me pull up my notes. We still have the lines open if anyone wants to call in or text in. Yeah. So we mentioned it a little bit. Goodyear brought a great tire. For years, Goodyear had issues. They were bringing tires that either had tons of failures or they would be hard as a rock and have no fall off. You would have guys run 80 laps on an oval and still be running laps comparable to our leaders. And especially with how hard it is to pass in dirty air with this car and with the late Gen 6 car, sometimes it just made passing impossible. So Goodyear bringing the tire they did today with how much fall off it had made a lot of comers and goers. It made strategy very important, deciding, especially with that late caution, do I take tires? Do I not take tires? So Goodyear, great tire. They did a great job. This race could have been a lot different. If the tire was a lot harder, not only would you have seen Reddick, our leader, probably just lead the whole race, you wouldn't have seen much passing throughout the pack. And that would have been very, very dull. Another big notable thing, Bowman, terrible day. Let's look at our running order here. Oh, we have our call. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you for calling in. Bye. Great call there from Doug. Really enjoyed that. So I want to touch on something. So he's obviously disappointed with some things NASCAR is doing, and I agree. There are things NASCAR could do a lot better. I'm still pushing for full season points and to get rid of this Gen 7 car. Yes, it runs a bit better at the 1.5s, but the short tracks and road courses have struggled. One thing we'll talk about in a bit is, do we have too many road courses? So I did notice, we have way less views than we have the last 2 weeks. Now, if you're a racing purist, just motorsports in general, you may think NASCAR needs more road courses. You may be happy with having, 6 road courses in a year. But there are tracks that are going without dates that, could maybe put on a better show nowadays. Kentucky, we tore down Auto Club. There are places we could go. There are places that would run well. Do we really need this many? Circuit of the Americas isn't a NASCAR-owned track. It isn't an ISC or an SMI track. So, they're renting it out. It's an impressive venue, but visiting there, the crowd is very different. It may just be because it's in Austin, but it doesn't feel like you're at a typical NASCAR race. It doesn't feel like you're at Bristol, Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, Charlotte. It's a completely different environment. Different fans coming in. And are those the people that tune in every week? I don't know. The viewership numbers have been on a slide for the last about 2 decades now. So they definitely, have to work on that. But I think there's a lot of momentum NASCAR has coming from the offseason. I think the lawsuit was handled pretty well. You had a really good point there about Jordan and the lawsuit. He's such a independently wealthy man. He's not dependent on NASCAR for his income, for his money. So it would definitely take a guy like him to stand up to NASCAR. And Front Row was alongside him in court. So they weren't the focal point. Obviously, Jordan's going to have the most attention on him. Denny Hamlin's a driver. He's going to get more attention being a co-owner. But what I really wanted to touch on is it's okay to be disappointed in NASCAR and yet still be a massive fan. There are things that they could do better. There are things I'm extremely disappointed with that I might bring up any given week. And yet, I want the best for the sport. I love, watching these races week in and week out. All 3 series, even the lower divisions, ARCA, the modifieds, just oval racing is so fun. And, Indy, they started their season today, did a doubleheader with the trucks, and the next week they're going to be with at Phoenix racing on Saturday. That's going to be extremely fun to watch. I wish NASCAR and IndyCar would work together a bit more on that. Maybe get the IndyCars, somewhere, back like at Pocono. You could try Michigan. And maybe, especially with the aero screen they have now, they might be safe enough to run at a place like Charlotte. Maybe a bit too fast there, though. But it's entirely normal to be negative about something you're extremely passionate about. Because you want the best for it. You can still support something fully, but disagree with what's happening at the moment. And I think that comes from a place of love, a place of support. Really does. But yeah, Bowman did not have a great day. I wanted to look at his finishing position, 36th. So he crashed out of the 500, crashed out of the Atlanta race, and now he finishes second to last. He did earn 4 stage points in stage 1. But just an awful day. This is probably the worst thing that could have happened to Alex Bowman to start the season, because we're back in the chase format. He has a 3-race points deficit now on most of the field. Now, there are other guys that are probably also low in the points and struggling. He can probably pick off 10 of those guys, 15 of those guys, pretty easy. But moving from probably 24th up to 16th, where you need to be, that's going to be the really competitive region where there are going to be a lot of teams trying to make the chase. And next week, luckily, is a good track for Alex Bowman. He might have a shot to run well there. He really needs a good run. And they tried to play it safe. They tried to get the stage points. And especially after that penalty, Bowman apparently got really sick. And that just ended his day. Horrible luck to start the year. You know, getting caught up in crashes at Daytona, Atlanta, there's really not much you can do there. And then to get sick this week, just awful. Zilic, Connor Zilic, I want to talk about him. I think he had the best day, aside from Reddick, maybe. Zilic started somewhere below 20th. I don't know exactly where he started, but he worked his way up. He flipped the stage from further back, so he ended the stage in 30th, but he restarted in 8th. Then on the restart of stage 2, Reddick gets taken out all the way back to the tail end of the field. Works his way back up. In stage 3, he's in the top 5, and you know he's trying to compete with our leaders. And at times he was faster than Reddick when he would have clean track. So Zilic had a shot there. He had a shot, but he gets taken out in an identical fashion because of a move Denny Hamlin made. Really disappointing to see that, especially how Zilic was running yesterday. Had a shot to challenge SVG for the win. He was moving back up through the field, and Corey Day took him out. So that's 3 times this weekend Zilic got taken out at no fault of his own, just at the wrong place at the wrong time. It was a very clean race for the most part. Our only caution for incident was Chastain losing that right rear wheel, I believe. And we had several guys go around, but not really receiving too much damage. Zane Smith probably took the worst damage in a wreck, but he was able to make it back around to pit road. We stayed clean. Really disappointing for Zane Smith. He had a great start to the year. Daytona, Atlanta. Well, I don't know if he qualified well, but he had a good lap time, I think, in practice here at Circuit of the Americas. And he was up there in the top 10 on that last restart. And like Zilic, you know, he got taken out, but Zane Smith got the worst of it, I believe. And yeah, I thought it was a really fun race. I don't know if it was the best race of the weekend. I think my favorite personally was the truck race at St. Pete. They still run truck arms in the truck series, so those guys are sliding around every corner. That looked like a really fun course to run. Really fun. The high-speed corners. It's not a lot of 90-degree angles like the Chicago Street course was. So it was a really fun layout, and I would love to see them go back. That was awesome. But yeah, I'm just not sold on the Gen 7 car on these road courses. And maybe part of the difference today was the boost in horsepower, but with how draggy these cars are and with how over-engineered they are, in my opinion, it just doesn't make a huge difference. They would have to go to 900 to even see anything. The wheels or the tires themselves are so wide, so much mechanical grip. I'm hearing something. But yeah, Reddick going back to back to back. You know, we mentioned that a few times. I know that's the headline of the day. Just very impressive. Someone's beating on something outside, probably with a hammer. But anyway, back to back to back. Daytona, Atlanta, COTA. He could do it again at Phoenix, but I think that's a lot more unlikely. It's a traditional oval. Hamlin ran really well there in the fall, you know, almost won. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him run well. He really needs a good run. He had a really good finish here. If we just look at the running order, 10th. Like that looks, oh, he had a good day, top 10. That's great. And it is for the stats, and it is for the points at the end of the race, but he ran sub 30 most of the day. And, or at least the very high 20s. It was rough. It was a really rough race for Denny. But he made the best of it. Got back up there. So pretty impressive. AJ, he's always a guy that can contend at these road courses. I think Colleague has taken a step back the last couple years because he should be up front contending. And he was in his early days there with Colleague. And now they just kind of a non-factor. Blaney, he had a great day until the very end of stage 3 and just, you know, fell off there. Got further back in traffic. Handling might have went away. Just like what happened to Chastain earlier. Falling back. Busch fought his way up through the field. started somewhere here in the 20s and just slowly worked his way up through the field. I mean, there wasn't any like trickery or strategy. It was just grit. Byron actually was the best running Hendrick car all day. And then on that last run, just fell off a cliff. That was interesting. And Connor Zilic, even after being taken out during the last stage, that last restart, he got taken out, went back to pretty much dead last, worked his way back up to 14th, passed Logano on the last lap. Another last lap pass I thought was pretty notable was Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson. I think they had this reversed at some point. Let me look at the official NASCAR website. I just want to confirm this running order. This is weird. This is weird. So, Colorado SVG. The website is off. The website is screwed up. Let me refresh this web page. All right, that's better. That aligns more properly with what we have. So they still have Larson scored ahead of Elliott. I thought Elliott got the position back at the end, but I may have had it reversed in my mind. But anyway, just, impressive run for some guys. Zilic was the guy. He passed definitely the most cars today. Now, I would like to see an actual stat on that, but I believe that to be true. Just super impressive run there for Zilic. I want to see how he does next week at Phoenix. SVG had a great start to the year. At Daytona and Atlanta ran really well. I want to see how he runs at Phoenix. So that's the first, I've said it before, but it's the first honest race of the year. NASCAR, it is an oval series. It's not a super speedway series. It's primarily, short ovals and intermediate ovals. So, that's what I want to see. I want to see how they run there. Jesse Love ran better at points in today's race. He was hanging around 22nd. He got taken out. Apparently, he did something that ticked off Kyle Busch. Kyle punted him, and that also took out Buescher. So, some collateral damage there. Ricky, just not a good day. Really disappointing. Carson Osevar spinning on the last lap. Also disappointing. Let's see if our points have been released yet. I want to see the points. NASCAR points after COTA. And then we'll wrap up things for today. Bang. Okay, let's pull that up for you guys. So, you're going to have to squint to see this. You can't make it any bigger. Tyler Reddick, obviously going to maintain our points lead. 3 wins. You get extra points now for winning the race. So he has a 70-point advantage over Bubba Wallace. This would be a lot closer without that bonus. Chase Elliott, 72 points. That's a whole race. He has a whole race gap, basically, between him and second place. So, I mean, unless he just fell off historically, Reddick's making the playoffs, or making the chase. We don't have playoffs anymore. Chase Elliott, third. He started the year really high in points because he won his dual race. That was 10 bonus points. Joey Logano was in the same, thing. They both had decent finishes the last couple weeks, I believe. I think Logano was definitely up there in the 500. Oh, yeah, Elliott was up there. He got murdered there at the end. But, yeah, they're still up there. Ryan Blaney up there, up 4 spots just today. SVG up 11. Wild. 90 points. He's tied with the Logano. Daniel Suarez, that's one name. He's had some good finishes to start the year. Goes over to that 7 car. I personally think the 7 car is cursed, but Daniel Suarez is proving me wrong so far. There's still plenty of season left. AJ Allmendinger, up here in the top 10 in points. Crazy. McDowell, Hocevar fell off today. Not a great day, but still in contention. Busher, Keselowski, not a great day for really either guy. Byron ran pretty well throughout the day. Didn't finish where he was running. Zane Smith, if the race had gone differently, if Denny Hamlin didn't commit an act of terrorism on that last restart, then Zane Smith probably finishes up in the top 10, and he doesn't lose this many, all these spots. Chastain had speed, has the issue with his right rear, losing 9 spots. So Ty Gibbs on the outside looking in. Let me look specifically at Bowman. So if they have Bowman 163 points down, that is like a 4-race deficit. If you're not including stage points, just on raw finishing position, he is at a 4-race deficit to our leader. To 17th, it's only about a race deficit. But each of these guys would have to earn like 0 points at some point for, Bowman to catch them. Just not the way he wanted to begin his year. The only guys he's above, Casey Mears, BJ McLeod. Not even full-time. So he's definitely the lowest full-time driver. Just disappointing. That's how it goes. That's how it goes. That's a look at our points. I think we're about to wrap things up here. It was just a really fun race. Michael says it started 25th. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. And he also said COTA was made for Formula One. I agree. I think the track with, it's interesting. Has some low speed portions, has some high speed portions. I think it's a bit too wide in certain parts. And with how wide it is and with how NASCAR hardly respects track limits, I mean, I don't know. I'm not COTA's biggest fan. I went there in 2022, and the race I saw was not great. Not great. But it's a completely different viewing experience than being at an oval where you can see 90% of the track, or if you're at Bristol, 100% of the track. So yeah, there are differences. There are advantages and disadvantages. COTA is a really nice facility. Now they have an amusement park right outside. They have an amphitheater inside, so there are concerts and stuff during the F1 weekend. It's a fun place, but not my favorite. I really did enjoy the race. I think it would have been better if these were the Gen 6 cars, but we'll never know. Next week we have Phoenix. Looking forward to it. Saturday we have an IndyCar race. Probably not going to be live for that one, but we will be live for the O'Reilly race and the Cup race on Sunday. So looking forward to that. Hope to see you guys maybe throughout the week when we stream. We try to stream almost every day. I'll take some days off here and there, especially if I'm really busy. But we're here for pretty much every NASCAR race throughout the season. There are a couple weekends I missed for travel, but other than that, we are here. Really enjoyed it. Fun stream today. That'll wrap things up for us for our post race. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Doug, for calling in. Thank you guys for your comments. Roblox, Michael, King, Mako, Warren, Alex. Alex says everyone will be hitting Reddick by May. Yeah, you're already seeing it now. Jeffrey, Max, Ben, Stacy, Rav. Yeah, a lot of you guys in here. A lot of support today. King is dead with a $20 super chat or super sticker at some point in the stream. Just fantastic. We're gonna get this uploaded and or edited and uploaded here in probably like an hour. So if you guys want to help out, check out the post-race upload that'll go live probably in 2-3 hours. We'll see. But until next time, guys, I might be live later tonight, but if I'm not, hope you guys have a good rest of your Sunday and a good work week. Let's get back to it.